Well, hi folks, this is Darren
and Dakota
with My RV Works. Today we're going to be working on an older Atwood water heater. So if that's something that you're interested in, the problem the customer states he's having with it is it will not turn off. So if that's something you're wanting to watch, stick around, we're going to get into that. Our theme song.
Hi folks, this is Trisha with My RV Works. If you've been watching our videos and wish there was more content or a community to learn alongside, I want to tell you about something we've been building. We've been working on our Patreon community where we focus on more targeted topics, real-world service scenarios, and the kind of conversations and interactions YouTube doesn't allow. Our RV Technician tier is designed for those looking to grow as an RV tech with additional content straight from the field. Common fails, tools and parts to carry, and real service calls Darren walks through with photos and insight. We also just launched a new tier called Mobile Business Owner. This tier is for RV techs who also want help with the business side, pricing, systems, workflows, and the decisions that turn repair skills into a sustainable mobile RV business. We know everyone's in a different place, so we also offer a $5 support tier and a free option for folks who want updates, community access, and a way to stay connected. Whether you're just exploring, growing as a tech, or ready to think like a business owner, there's a place for you. You can learn more at patreon.com/myrvworks and choose the tier that fits where you're at.
That was some great intro music. That was me on the guitar. Okay, where we are today, look at our office view. We're in the office. This is our office. Isn't this awesome? So we are on Lake Sutherland in Washington, up a peninsula. It is the neighboring lake of Lake Crescent. So if you've looked on the map, you've seen Lake Crescent. This is a little smaller lake to the east of Lake Crescent. Legend tells us that they were once connected and then a big debris slide separated them all, and it would have been epic to have seen that. A little bit before my time. But anyway, beautiful lake, beautiful scenery. This is our office. So we're going to work on the furnace. I said furnace, water heater. Now the customer will turn the water heater on and it will stay running and will not turn off for a while. And so what we're going to be doing, Dakota and I are going to try to figure that out. We're going to bring you along on that journey. But the bad news is we're going to have to take you away from our office view and put you on our, would that be our desk?
Yeah.
Office and desk. Okay, so let's get busy trying to troubleshoot this water heater. We're going to go through kind of the sequence of events, theory of operation, and Dakota's kind of going to learn along with you guys. He'll be your surrogate student, if you will, and we're going to see if we can't follow the trail and get this thing figured out. All right, so let's spin the camera around, say goodbye to the beautiful view, and let's go get busy over here. Okay, so if you were a water heater, this would definitely want to be where you live. Look at that. Look at where your living is. Okay, so what we're going to do here is Dakota is going to explain and demonstrate. So come on down here, Dakota. We're going to go through the theory of operation, and Dakota is going to be the surrogate student for those of us who are learning this. So, what's inside?
A switch.
A switch. So there's a switch inside. Is this water heater energized at all when the switch is in the off position?
No.
No. So the only way this water heater, or basically any water heater for that matter, they're basically totally dead, inert piece of whatever, no energy or anything unless the switch is turned on. Now on some of your switches it's either going to be gas or electric. This one is just gas, okay? There is no electric element to this water heater. So therefore we only have 4 wires on our connector. Now, to save the trouble of walking in and out, we've turned the switch on and just unplugged the harness, okay? So, Dakota, share with the viewing audience the circuit that the switch takes. So somebody turns on the switch, then what happens?
It goes...
So I'm going to dig to the back bulkhead wall of the water heater, and then I have a, let's see, Dakota, I have a green, a brown, and a blue wire coming out of this back the spot right here. What wire am I going to be picking up my 12 volts on?
The brown one.
The brown wire is coming out of the back of this water heater, coming directly from where? The switch, right?
Switch, yeah.
Okay, so then it looks like it comes to this device. What is this device down here? Why is my brown wire going to that device? What is that device purpose?
That is a thermostat, and if the temperature is under 140,
Yeah?
then it turns on or turns off.
Well, is it on or off? So it's like a toaster.
Yeah.
Our toast isn't ready yet, so we're going to keep it energized. We're going to keep that heating element going.
Yep.
So if that's a thermostat, so I energize my circuit on the brown wire, I'm going to land on my thermostat, and if the water heater is less than 140, I'm going to allow my power to pass through the thermostat to this other brown wire. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. So this is then a thermostat that is basically controlling my toast. On, off, on, off. So throughout the day, if I'm doing dishes, taking a shower, my water heater might be on and off all the time. So I guess you would say that the thermostat's constantly switching on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off. If I'm less than 140, I turn on. If I'm greater than 140, I turn off, on, off all the time. So this little thermostat seems to be doing a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've made it through my thermostat. So then I'm going to come out of the thermostat. It looks like this wire's brown, and it looks like it goes to my connector. And the connector would typically be connected in here. So what have I done so far? I've come from my switch, come out of my bulkhead, through my thermostat, into my brown wire. What's this box? Direct spark ignition.
The
DSI box.
DSI, yeah.
Okay. What's a DSI box do?
Once it comes from the brown wire,
Yeah.
it goes in here, and then it comes out immediately out from the brown wire into here, into the red one.
Into the red wire. So let me just say, I've got a brown wire, a blue wire, a red wire, and a green wire, and you're telling me I'm coming in on brown and out on red.
Yes.
Okay, so if I come out on red, it looks like I'm coming down to something that looks exactly like what I just went through. So what's this guy?
That is another thermostat that if it is lower than 180 degrees, that it's on.
Okay, so if this is my thermostat, which is on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off all day long, 140, 0, all this kind of stuff, this guy is another thermostat, but his rating is 180 degrees. So 40 degrees hotter than this one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so why do you think they would have done two thermostats here with a 40-degree difference? Maybe if this one should fail?
Yeah.
Okay, so if this first thermostat should fail, then this is a fail-safe backup thermostat, 40 degrees hotter. They also have a name for that one called an ECO, which stands for energy cutout, or some people call it an emergency cutoff. But technically it's an energy cutout. So that is to say, if our first thermostat should fail, which is the heavy lifting one is turning on and off all the time, if it should fail, then the second fail-safe is this energy cutoff one at 180. So then, Dakota, it looks like it comes out of my ECO thermostat with two red wires. Where do the two red wires go? Why two red wires?
It goes into
These two black things.
Yeah.
One on this side, one on this side.
And it opens the gasway.
Okay. All right.
For the gas to pass through.
Okay. Good. Guys, he's doing really well. So gas pressure is always pressing against my gas valve. As long as the propane cylinders are open, okay, then this side of my water heater, oh, let me see the pointy thing. And so as long as my propane cylinders are on, then this side here is under pressure. 6 ounces of pressure, 11 inches of water column right here. But I can't get my gas to flow through to this side unless I energize both solenoids. Now, why two solenoids? Why not just one? Why do I have to have two?
Another failsafe.
Another failsafe. So I've got one failsafe for the thermostat, one failsafe as an ECO. Now I have to have two solenoids to be energized in order for my gas to flow through my gas valve. Would it work if it was just one solenoid? If in this system, if one solenoid should fail, would this allow gas to flow through?
No.
No, because it's another failsafe, just like you said. Okay, so that's why it comes in on one red wire and leaves on two red wires, each going to a different solenoid. Now, folks, I'll tell you, this is an older water heater. Some of your new water heaters, they still leave on one wire, and they do the split down at the solenoid level. But on this older one, you have one solenoid on this side, one on this side. Okay, so now we've got gas introduced. So the switch got turned on. I'm less than 140. I make it to my black box. The same voltage that came on my brown wire is now leaving on my red wire. The box is kind of dumb. It doesn't understand things. It's like, oh, I got power on brown. I'm leaving on red. Yay. So it leaves on red, goes through our first fail-safe here, splits into our dual solenoids, a second fail-safe. Gas is now introduced. What else does our black box do? Tell me about this guy.
If so it once the brown wire goes into here, then along with turning on, going through the red
circuit,
wire,
yeah,
it goes down here and starts lighting.
Throwing matches, spark,
yeah.
spark, spark. Okay, so excellent. So now this is a single sense water heater. Your newer ones are going to be dual sense. They're just going to have one electrode. This older one has two. So the job of this guy is just to throw matches in, spark, 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 spark. So coinciding with the red circuit going hot. So brown circuit goes hot. I can make it through my thermostat. Therefore, the black box gets power. Therefore, it immediately sends it back on red. If this first fail-safe is closed, pass it through my dual solenoids, passing my gas valve, passing my gas into my J-tube, into my burner. Immediately with the red wire, I start spark, 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 spark. Now I'm trying for ignition. Okay. As soon as I get ignition, this is what the second single sense electrode's looking for. If this electrode is doing the sparking, then this guy's doing the sensing. Okay, so he's looking for what, about a 3 to 4 microcurrent, little teeny tiny microcurrent coming through this wire back into the black box. So if I have brown power, I'm going to call it brown power and red power just to keep our colors right. If I have brown power, 12 volts coming into my black box, leaving on red, opening my gas valve, setting a spark, and I'm not able to ignite, then what is this black box going to do?
Then it goes through the blue wire and turns on the light on the inside with the switch. Okay,
so I have 4 wires here, a brown, a blue, a red, and a green. Well, it looks like green is ground.
Yeah.
So we've identified green. Brown is a wire coming in telling me I need heat, leaving me with a red or a blue. So you're telling me that the black box is going to send power out on either red or blue, but never both?
Yes.
Okay. So if I've got power coming in on brown, then I'm going to send it out on red, and I'm going to try to ignite. If I cannot ignite, then I'm going to turn off my red circuit. I'm going to turn on my blue circuit, and the blue circuit goes where?
To the switch to turn on the light.
To the switch to turn on the light. Perfect. Okay. So I think that's a benefit for all you folks. Dakota did an excellent job of explaining.
Thanks for joining us for part 1 of this Atwood water heater diagnosis. Join us for part 2, where we'll go hands-on diagnosing the issue and making the repair. And we'll see if Dakota's guess about what's causing the problem is actually correct. So make sure you're subscribed and tune in for part 2. In the meantime, check us out on Patreon to find the tier that's right for you and join our growing community. Scan the QR code, click the link, or visit patreon.com/myrvworks to learn more.